Today on The Right to Reason, we'll begin a new theme of topics that we will revisit occasionally called So You Think You Know. And then we'll follow up with something like history or science or lobsters. Sure, lobsters. Then we'll do a fun episode on common misconceptions about said topic. Just for the record, the episode on lobsters is exactly what you think it is. Really boring. Lobsters don't really do anything. Anyway, we're going to find out how smart you are today, because this is The Right to Reason. Actually, that's not true. Lobsters are amazing creatures that can pee right out of their faces, and they pee in each other's faces when they're fighting. They're also cannibals with two stomachs, just like your mom. They can detach their claws whenever they want and grow them right back. Lobsters are not immortal, as you may have heard, and female lobsters collect and save lobster dude's sperm for 2 years. Dose. Then they can pick out which lobster load they like the best and make lobster infants, called lobfants. I made that term up. Actually, baby lobsters are known as shrimp. Sometimes she shoots them right out of her bright red vagina, and those are called popcorn shrimp. No, I'm sorry. I made that last part up about the lobster babies, but the other stuff was true about, like, saving hot lobster loads for later. But you didn't know that, and that's the point of these segments. Research everything you hear and maintain a skeptical outlook, especially about things that you've been told your whole life. Remember, people used to be stupider. So most of the stuff you know from when you were a kid is probably from stupid people, aka your parents. All that aside, just look at how much fun talking about lobsters was, and that really had nothing to do with the topic today. I think it's going to be awesome. I asked you guys what topics I should get into, and most popular was religion. So without further ado, so you think you know religion. We'll start with everybody's favorite religion, lobsters. Nope. Buddhism. I'm stuck on lobsters. We're going to start with Buddhism. Buddha was not fat, and not the Buddhist god. Most Buddhists are atheists, kind of like me. And the fat guy that we often see sitting in Chinese restaurants is actually eating there because Chinese food makes you fat. That's how the Chinese plan to take over our country, one egg roll at a time. No, the chubby or laughing form of Buddha that we Westerners think of when referencing Buddhism is actually one of many Buddhas throughout history. This one in particular is a 10th century folk hero that is said that one day will restore Buddhism after the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama have been forgotten. If Fat Buddha does show up, or as I like to call him, Buddhatron, he should avoid practitioners of Zen Buddhism, because according to the koan of Master Linji, if you meet Buddha on the road, then you should kill him. The message or rubric of Zen practice here is that one cannot attain Buddha-like status. One can neither see Buddha nor should attempt to, because that would not be a truly enlightened path. Also, due to his obese lifestyle, Buddhatron would not have the cardiovascular fitness to outrun anyone attempting to murder him. One ancient teaching was when Master Xi asked his pupil, "Do you know that you are not really here?" To which his pupil wisely responded, "What you talking about?" I'm sorry. I don't know why that's funny to me. It's just funny to me. I'm sorry. I was high when I wrote this, so you're going to have to forgive me. Anyway, moving on to Christianity. Probably feeling pretty cocky about Christianity, right? Let's see how you do. All right. The forbidden fruit mentioned in the book of Genesis was never identified as an apple. The misconception widely depicted in Western art. The Hebrew text mentioned only a tree and fruit. Jesus wasn't born on Christmas. According to the texts, which contradict one another about the year, by the way, he was actually born closer to summer. The only reason Christians worship Christ's birth on December 25th is because some pope named Julius told everyone that they should do that at that time to correspond with the winter solstice in Rome, which was a really popular shindig at the time. They did the same thing with Easter, which before the Christians screwed it up, used to be about smashing strange and thick hot lobster loads. Nope, I'm sorry. No more lobster references. Anyway, but Easter was about sex. That part's real. Another misconception is that Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him because of Jesus' divine omniscience. The truth of the matter is that Judas gave himself up by asking, "Hey, would you like to come to the Last Supper?" To which Jesus responded, "The what supper?" And then Judas was all like, Another one that the Bible never actually says is that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. And speaking of ladies, the term immaculate conception does not refer to Jesus as the Protestants try to promote. Technically, they're right in the religious claim that Mary was a virgin, but the term is actually about Mary and how she was born sinless, just like Jesus. Tell that to the next Baptist you see and watch him pop out some popcorn shrimp of his own. Another misconception is that the Apostle Paul used to be known as Saul and changed his name to Paul after Jesus appeared to him while he was on the road to Damascus. People back then often had two names. The misunderstood story is that he used to kick Christian ass up and down town because he was working for Rome. After he meets Jesus, he quits working for Rome, changes his name to Paul, and starts preaching the good word. The irony of this misconception is that Saul was his Jewish name and Paul was actually his Roman name. The fact is that people just called him different things, different names and stuff. All right, so moving on to Islam. Oh, according to the Quran, Muslims can eat lobsters as long as they boil it. It's actually the Jews that can't. Lots of people mix those up, probably because it's all a bunch of nonsense. For starters, a fatwa is not a death sentence. It's actually a non-binding legal opinion by an Islamic scholar under the Islamic law. Different authors of fatwas often disagree. This misconception was popularized when some Ayatollah issued a fatwa on Salman Rushdie, claiming that he earned the death sentence because of his blasphemy. You know, blasphemy, like showing the image of Muhammad. The term jihad doesn't really mean holy war. It actually means struggle. Also, the Quran does not promise martyrs 72 virgins in paradise. The source of the 72 virgins actually comes from one of many hadiths, which are writings from someone other than the prophet. Many scholars argue that this particular translation of the hadith doesn't promise virgins at all. The term for dried white grapes is easily mistranslated as virgins. White dried grapes were a delicacy at the time and could also be used as currency. So the suicide bomber that gets into paradise may be fairly disappointed when handed a handful of raisins. Finally, rape is constantly endorsed throughout the Quran, as with the Old Testament of the Bible. And that's the important thing to remember. The people that wrote these ancient texts were crazy and moral monsters. Don't get your morality from ancient religious texts, and always remember that you have the right to reason. Oh, wait, I just realized I had done all this like Buddhist and Christian jokes, and I didn't do any Muslim jokes. So in the spirit of fairness, allow me to introduce the Right to Reason's top 5 jokes about Islam. And by the way, you know how to start a Muslim joke, right? You do it like this right here. That one's free. That's not part of the 5. All right, here we go. Number 1. How does a Muslim close the door? Islam's it. Sorry. What is the most popular kids show in the Middle East? It's really bad. Dora the Exploder. Okay. What do you call an unemployed Muslim? Been laid off. What do you call a Muslim shrink? A therapist. All right, and last one. What did the Muslim What did the Muslim yell out at the strip club? Show us your face. Show us your face. Show us your face. I hope you enjoyed that completely disrespectful and informative first episode of So You Think You Know, and then the thing that you're supposed to know. I'm going to probably have to come up with a better name for that. But anyway, you should know that this is only a short segment of the podcast, The Right to Reason, which is on iTunes, Stitcher, and PodBean. Let me know what you think our next topic should be for So You Think You Should Know on Facebook, Twitter, and learn more and find out lots of cool stuff, like what kind of episodes we have, videos, ways you can support us, how you can make a difference in other people's lives, like Gigi Spot, by visiting our website at therighttoreason.com.